I mean, after all, it was Cardinal Spellman here who was one of the key figures in starting the Vietnam War, with his backing of Jim, you know, and he was one of the people that got together, I believe it was with Nixon.
Do you really believe that myth?
Oh, well, I think the Pope had to rebuke him for being so bloodthirsty toward the end of his life one Christmas, didn't he?
Oh, no. No, he
yeah,
didn't.
I think the Pope
no, he didn't
say that. But also, like, he was one of the people that was involved originally with Nixon and Dulles and probably Leo Cherney in proposing Diem as our man in Vietnam to substitute for the election, and proposing a man who put in our secret police.
I don't know where you got your demonology. The last person I heard from that was from Man from
I got it from the New York
whatever
Times.
his name.
I got my demonology from the New York Times.
Well, maybe you should.
Also from his speeches. Spellman was one of the people who was calling for the
calling
for a rollback also on censorship too. Like he didn't like Tropic of Cancer. He made a big speech in Denver denouncing it.
What do you want to do? Talk about Spellman?
We're talking about the Whore of Babylon, the Christian tradition, and I was saying we have brought forth the Gnostic open tradition instead of the old bring down.
Spellman was short and ugly while you're at it?
No. That his ideas were generally negative and unsympathetic in terms of the growth of spirit when he was supposed to be representing the Sacred Heart.
I disagree with you very strongly, as witness the fact that when Cardinal Spellman died, hundreds of thousands of people who knew him best mourned the passing of a great benevolence. Now,
Om Raksha Raksha Hum Hum Hum
No, I don't know that language.
Well, that's Tibetan. It's like an exorcism.
Yeah. All right. Now, one of the reasons why I'm rather glad that you made this salient is because it precisely dramatizes my point.
Yeah.
That your kind of love, for instance, is no use at all against the Viet Cong, whereas my kind of love is.
I mean, Napalm love?
That's right.
Napalm.
Yeah, in other words,
actually, why don't you try some LSD love on them?
Force.
Why don't you try some LSD love on them? It'll be less chromosome damage than Napalm.
This is what, a concrete suggestion?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, if you have any power.
I'm all in favor of chemical warfare.
With LSD, though, I'm saying. That would be the only kind of chemical warfare.
The point is,
you have to drop it on our side, too.
The point is that you can't effectively love anybody unless you recognize.
Have you turned on to anything?
No.
Do you drink?
Sure. No. The point is that you can't effectively love anybody unless you are prepared to recognize the fact of sinfulness.
Oh, that's a
any attempt to immanentize flower power, you're just going to lead you right to Buchenwald.
Well, no, I think it was an original sin shot that led to Buchenwald. I mean,
I agree. I grant. But
are you Catholic?
Yes, I am. No. Are you saying
I
that?
believe in the Sacred Heart, but I'm not so sure about the original sin thing you want to push on everybody. It's too much of a guilt producer, or as it's been used. You know, there's original sin, therefore we got to use napalm. Come on. I mean, it's a large jump you're making.
Would you, for instance, let me ask you this. Suppose you had the following two exclusive alternatives, let's say having run temporarily out of LSD, to drop napalm on a Gestapo unit that was on its way to Buchenwald to, let's say, kill 100,000 Jews, or not use it.
I would say bring it right up to present, buy off Ho Chi Minh. We got lots of money. Buy off Ho Chi Minh and Mao Zedong.
I said if you had those exclusive alternatives.
The goose is out of the bottle. You're putting a goose in a bottle with a narrow neck and saying, how do you get the goose in the bottle? The goose is out of the bottle, sir. To get the goose out of the bottle in Vietnam, buy off Ho Chi Minh, buy off Mao Zedong. We got lots of money, spend it. Use it for something sensible instead of like trying to escalate the fighting and conflict.
It's interesting that
by using conflict, you only escalate conflict.
Now, would that be a good thing if we bought them?
It would be better than what we're doing.
Okay, it would be a good thing. Therefore, somebody has to produce money, right?
We got $70 billion a year that's floating around to fight him.
But you're against a system that made that surplus available. You counseled your disciples, don't work for dollars, don't work for money, quote unquote.
Don't work for money.
Yeah.
If the
how are we going to have money with which to buy off people that you want to buy off unless somebody works for money?
The same way we get the money to buy napalm, man. We've got that money there. Actually, buy them off with production.
But you're against production, aren't you?
Pardon me?
You're against production.
No, I'm in favor of production, as long as the production is dedicated to something constructive instead of just destructive, more bombs, more atom bombs, more chemical warfare, more negative. Now, the old obvious thing, that a negative, we've got 800 million people to face. We do have a race war, despite what Professor Kahn thinks. In the sense of our motivation, it seems to me, our motivation is fear of the yellow life form virus taking over the planet. I don't think we're going to make it with the Chinese unless we display a certain amount of acceptance of their existence on the planet. and helpfulness and cooperation. And I think the cause of their paranoia, because they're paranoid, is our paranoia. It's a mirror reflecting system. The two images are just reflecting each other, paranoia building up, like in a barroom brawl. The more we think in terms...
If you keep this up, I'm going to ask you to read more poetry.
Oh. Why don't I sing instead? Why don't I sing?
No, it's just that in politics you are a little bit naive, right?
Well, that's a language naive.
Yeah.
I come from an old tradition, so... Do you know the Hare Krishna chant?
No, go ahead.
Yeah. To the preservation of the universe instead of its destruction. Krishna returns in the Bhagavad Gita every time there's a flood, fire, original sin leading to atom bombs. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
That was the most unhurried Krishna I ever heard.
Well, now, if you armed 700 or 500,000 Americans with little tiny $15 harmoniums and sent them in against the Viet Cong, you'd probably get better results.
Well,
as a matter of practical, unnaive politics.
You mean by contrast with the present results?
Well, by contrast with the present, bring down fear, bad feeling, negative approach.
Now, tell me,
paranoia.
Who's paranoia?
The world's paranoia, yours, mine, I guess. Certainly, I think Johnson and Rusk's. Certainly Dulles is paranoia.
Mm-hmm.